Thanks for having me today. I'm going to start out with a piece by Gail Barber. Gail was the harp professor at Texas Tech, and this is programmatic music in the sense that an idea is suggested for it as the title. So this is Harp of the Western Wind, and then I'm going to go into Children at Play, and then end with Morning Splendor. This music was part of a soil erosion environmental study that they did, and the music coincided with the department that she worked with. But I just thought it was really pretty in the sense that we have wind, but our wind is not out of the west, it's out of the northwest. So hoping for spring, a little bit of that, but I want to move on to a piece called The Sally Gardens. So it's a little Celtic piece, and we're all getting ready for spring somehow, but and I recorded this with a longtime friend, Kathy Slocum, and so somehow her counter melody keeps coming in, but this is with flute, she's a flutist, but this is Sally Gardens. actually originally Lord of the Dance. And that part, I don't know because it's Palm Sunday or what we're getting in the midst of Holy Week, but the lyric of Lord of the Dance, it's hard to dance with the devil on your back. And it's a real like minor, and it's not just a natural minor, it's like a harmonic minor. So you've got this kind of thing going on, which is the harmonic minor, which is a little bit stronger than, is a more of a palatable natural minor. So it's great when you have a whole like Celtic band because they really, it's hard to dance with the devil on your back, and that can be interpreted in many ways, but I just felt like I couldn't go into that. And I started with the little snippets of Aaron Copeland, and it's great to hear that piece with orchestra because I had the opportunity to play with a full orchestra many times, and there's so many descants variations, and it just becomes this evolving, really cool bass section, all the low brass have this walking bass line in, so if you can hear it, it's really nice to hear it in a orchestral form where you can get all those Aaron Copeland's wonderful orchestrations in. So let's see, kind of got through that. Okay, so this is, I wanted to explain a little bit about this harp. So this is a lever harp. It's not a pedal harp, and I played in the past with pedal harps. And this is what you call a neo-Irish, or it relies on levers, or it relies on tuning. And you heard me tune a lot, I'm really sorry. But we've got a lot of humidity in the air, so my strings are going, wonky. So it relies on tuning to set the key before playing, and whether I'm tuning down strings or I have set strings tuned to flats, and then I can raise. I only have a half step capability. So if you're looking at like a piano, the white keys, I only have a half step up or down from that. I don't have truly flat, natural, sharp. And on the pedal harps, I have the ability to go flat, natural, sharp. So where they're both harps, the pedal harp and the troubadour harp or the lever harp are vastly different in the preparation and kind of things that you have to do for that. But I am going to play a piece that I got to do, I was really lucky to do, at the Civic Center. State Fair was a movie, and then they made it into the musical. And I got to play the premiere of that, and then it went all over. I was just part of the orchestra, not any big deal, but the interesting thing was they were doing the orchestra arrangements, and as they were doing them, the Rodgers and Hammerstein librarians were like changing it up, and so they give us new, they put the new parts, kind of throw them in the pit orchestra and say, no, try this version, and try this version. So we as Iowans should be really proud and happy that while State Fair, the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical is based after the Iowa State Fair, it was Des Moines, the capital city, that got to do the premiere, and then it went all over. And then they made slight changes as they went. But this is a little piece called It Might As Well Be Spring, and I've got my new reading glasses, so it's a new piece. And I learned it in the orchestra part in a different key, so this is just a little bit different. But the musical's great. If you see it, the movie, it's really pretty. And it's kind of a nice little ballad. a little piece that, and of course I'm getting requests because my daughter is getting married to a really neat guy named Alex. So I'm kind of getting some requests for things coming in, but that's not till a May wedding. And she goes, oh, you've got to play this, you've got to play this. And then she said, and it's kind of gotten to be this, so now I'm really into a lot of Rodgers and Hammerstein, I guess. That's what she went to the wedding. So, Christopher Plummer singing, and his voice is so wavering, and he's like, ah, what a cry. But anyway, that is Edelweiss, after my favorite things, and I did my favorite things in a jazz waltz, just to kind of be quirky, but I don't have a bass player with me, and obviously I don't have a drummer, or, you know, a saxophone, but it's really fun to do it as a kind of a fast in one jazz waltz. And let's see, I kind of am just zipping along here, aren't I? I should just take requests at this point. I have all these different ideas of things, but when you play on a lever harp, you have to, again, set your keys and pieces, and you have to do those in advance. But the next piece that I'd like to play, I think you all know, and then I'm going to leave up some time for questions, and if you have any questions as well. I have to preface that I'm going to do a version that was more of a Broadway version for this to start, and then I'll kind of settle it back down. But it's in a little bit different tempo and meter than maybe you're used to hearing. So I think you'll know like that. Sutton Foster, and she grew up to an 8-track tape of John Denver. And she came out and she was doing it in like a real 3 pattern, and it gave a completely different feel to it. But hopefully have some sunshine on our shoulders soon. Does anybody have, while I'm kind of tuning up, any questions for me? Because that's part of when we come here to kind of be educational and informative.
I noticed you don't wear rings. Would that change your tune?
I was married for a long time in the galaxy far,
Well,
far
I didn't
away.
know if it was just your preference or if that changes your sound.
Actually, we use the left-handed muffle. There's some other weird, like if we're doing the Mozart concerto, we kind of do a little muffle like that. But it's like the French called étouffé, which you could think of lobster étouffé, but it's an étouffé or mitdampen in German. You dampen the strings, and so if you have any metal or any of that, like zippers. I used to practice some from Nebraska. I wore overalls, and there's little things, you know, so you don't want to, any of that causes sympathetic vibration, even like dangly earrings and stuff. So you don't think of it, but you don't want to have a buzz. And when you're trying to keep the strings, the wires ring on and on and on. And if I don't muffle occasionally the wires, it just becomes this kind of wash of sound. So kind of to give you an example, let's take a C chord. Right? Whereas if I play that same chord in my second or first octave, so it's still vibrating. And so, but then if you play this same chord again up here, right, it's much less duration of time. So jewelry is kind of at a minimum, but every, harpists in all different countries. And I got to see some really wonderful harpists from all over the world, and a lot of the Middle Eastern, and a lot of, they'll wear a lot. I don't know how they keep like the bangles and stuff. I don't know how they do that. It's really intriguing. But I couldn't do that, so I just keep it at a minimum. Anybody?
Well, that would think your fingers would hurt.
No, if you don't practice, if you go away to the cousins for a week, 2 weeks without the harp in the
I
summer.
know people that play guitars more than any of their fingers. They're gonna get sore.
Right, so you develop calluses, kind of like dancers have them on their feet, and if I still, I don't like doing dishes. I know there's a beginning and a middle and an end. Like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. To me, I don't like to do it, but I still have my little plastic gloves I wear. Yeah, because they just get soggy. Okay. Yeah.
How about fingernails?
Classical trained harpists keep their fingernails short, and then if you're a harper or Celtic music, especially wire-strung harp, which that's a whole. It's a smaller harp like this. It's a lever harp, but it's completely strung with brass wires. So it rings on and on and on, and there's a whole different dampening technique for that, and they use nail. And your South American harpists, Uruguay, Paraguay, Venezuela, they use the nail, but it's a lighter, it's a much lighter strung harp. And where the strings of this harp are only on one side of the neck, so we look through this way. Any of your South American harps are going to be, they're strung up through the middle, and we have a little ghost in the other room. Anyway, and so they're strung in the middle, and it's a lot lighter tension. So then you do some nail. We do some nail techniques like, we do some, this is a guitaric effect or a plectrum. So it is, in the lower to the board you play, the more pointed the sound is. Whereas this is like, really sonorous, and then this is like really, hear the difference? Yeah, so you get a little, we use a nail, but it's We don't try to use the nail when we're not supposed to, because, yeah, we use the tips.
Mary, how often do you practice?
Not enough. I used to practice a lot when I was growing up, learning the technique. But the preparing, you know, that's a big thing. And if you're preparing something for yourself or for just playing solo, is a lot different than preparing. My career was orchestral. So, I mean, my schooling was to play in an orchestra or an opera, orchestra, ballet, or ensemble. So you have to not only know your part, you need to know the other musician's part. So that's a lot more detailed, because then you're like learning the symphony, you know. You're learning the symphony so you know what the harp part is about and the role of that. Well, for instance, like contemporary music that has lyrics, like the one, it might as well be Spring or some of these others. If I don't know the name, if I don't know the song, I mean, I'm just telling you personally. If I don't know the song, I don't know what it's from, I don't know what it's about, it's pointless. Because you need, if you're gonna take a piece that's from a Broadway show or, you know, contemporary artist and you don't know what it's about, you can't do it justice. So if I don't, if I don't know the lyrics in my head and the melody and what it's from and what like the singer's depicting, you know, and it might as well be Spring. They're sitting around, they're moping around, their mom's telling them, you know, and so, and she's all giddy and longing for something. If I don't know what that is about, then I'm not doing it justice. So if I have the tune in my head and I kind of know what the singer's doing, I can do a pretty good rendition. But other than that, I don't know the lyrics. I'm like, you know, that sort of thing. And you guys are the same, educators, you know, same way. Any other questions for me?
Do you play any other instruments?
I am a survival pianist. And I have a lot of dreams and aspirations. I love the pipe organ. And I did play some upright bass in the school orchestra when they didn't have harp parts. Like I can play Song of the Volga Boatman, I can play, you know, some stuff. I love contrabass. I love the pipe organ. I love all the colors that you can get in a pipe organ. And I probably won't ever retire, but I'd like to play harpsichord. I'd like to sit there and be a really old lady in my bathrobe and slippers and just be playing like Scarlatti. I mean, you know, like a harpsichord. But I don't play any other instrument. I started as a child on the harp as a kid.
At what age?
Okay, I should say, I was playing piano by 3 or 4, but by ear, and then, because I'm the youngest, and they all were practicing their music, and then they go on to, they practice piano, and then I'd see them leave on the school bus, and then I was told that as a small child I could play the pieces I heard. And so I'm a by ear player as a small child on the piano, but then when they got me into formal piano lessons, I just refused to read music. So the teacher would play it, I'd play it back, and then it was like, no, you're gonna learn to read music, Mary Beth, and it was like, no. So then I started harp at 9. Yeah. So this is my, yeah.
So were your parents into music big time? You didn't have any choice there in the beginning?
No, they never pushed. My father is a by ear player. His mother played Stardust by ear. I can do a little star. In fact, I might as well. I have to get, there's a little trickery in that with the levers. And so I have the by ear from my grandmother and my father. But my mom was a very talented soprano. She could have had an opera career. And so, big Wagnerian, a big, huge, so she didn't blend very well in the choir. But she could really sing. And, yeah.
Well, Mary, that was lovely.
Thank you.
More than that, might have been one of the best sermons I ever heard. In fact, if they don't have those in hell, I've made up my mind I'm not going there.
We don't wanna, yeah, let's hope, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And then that gets me into the accordion jokes, and we're not gonna go there. And I like accordion. In fact, that's an instrument that's all over the world. Let me see if I can do a little Stardust on this, and I don't wanna go skate out too far, or go too far on a limb, but I think I can, do a little bit. And then I'll end with, oh, Bronte wanted this one, my daughter. My agent, Bronte. Okay. But thank you all. I'm just always so happy to get invited, and I'll come up with another programmatic, yeah, and I'll bring the big guy, but thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much, Mary.
You're welcome.